Hello and welcome everyone. My name is Tania Johnson. I'm a registered psychologist, registered play therapist, co-founder of the Institute of Child Psychology, and also the co-author of the Parenting Handbook. Today we're going to be chatting about something super important: how to create a strong bond with your child. Attachment, if you think about it, really is a preeminent need. In order for our young to survive, they have to be in relationship with an adult who provides cascading care, which includes comfort, connection, guidance, and protection. Attachment is the hallmark of emotional well-being in humans. When I have a child who comes into clinic, the first thing that I always want to look at is, what is their relationships like with their mom, their dad, their grandparents, their daycare providers. Very often, if I can nurture a relationship, if I can help with repairs in a relationship, it does far more than any strategy or tool out there. Let's talk about the 4 different attachment styles. So the one that we're aiming for is a securely attached child. A securely attached children generally have a caregiver or caregivers who are predictable, warm, consistent. They put in limits when limits are needed, and they also feel deeply seen by their caregiver. Because they feel so safe, they can engage in the important work of childhood. They can just be kids. These kids move through their world going, I am loved, lovable, and the world is generally a safe place. It's not to say that they're not going to hit their road bumps in life, but they know that they have support so that when they fall down, they can get back up. Those are our securely attached kids. Our ambivalently attached kids. Here, the caregiving style has been erratic. It's all over the place. Sometimes I'm holding you tight. Sometimes I'm pushing you away. Sometimes mom's putting in limits. Sometimes she's not. It often feels like she's just not getting me. Like there's a million things happening inside of mom or dad or whoever's looking after me where I am not seen. Our ambivalently attached kids move through their world going, I'm hesitant, insecure, and the world is a really fragile place. Those are ambivalently attached kids. Our disorganized kids have generally been through lots of trauma in their world. The adults in their world have hurt them, and they're trying desperately to keep themselves safe in a world that has failed them. These kids move through their world going, the world is a really, really scary place. I'm terrified, shattered. Everything around me feels really cruel. These kids tend to have lots of armor around them. Sometimes, for example, in school, they may come really close to us. They may seem like they're really connected to us. And the next minute, they're hitting, shoving, pushing, again, trying to keep themselves safe. Those are disorganized kiddos. And then our avoidantly attached children. For these kids, field trip forms may be filled in, lunch is made, but that attunement process, that feeling of being seen, the serve and return process of, oh, I tell mom something and she lights up and she responds. Or when I talk to dad about my feelings, he gets me. That attunement process just isn't there. And attunement, that serve and return, is huge in terms of attachment. For these kids, they move through their world going, I'm alone, lonely, and the world is a cold place. As an example, what we would see in school for each of these attachment styles is our securely attached kids are great at working on assignments, working with peers, and working with their teachers. Our avoidantly attached kids, our ambivalently attached kiddos, for these kids, they spend a lot of energy on the relationships in their world. It's not enough energy for the task at hand. So they're looking to see what's happening with my peers, what's happening with my teacher, what's happening with administration. And when a relationship goes wrong, they're very quick to turn their back on those relationships. Our disorganized kids, as I mentioned, these kids are just trying to keep themselves safe in a really scary world. They tend to struggle with relationships with peers, with a teacher, and with the task at hand. And then our avoidantly attached kids do very well working alone, but have a hard time trusting in relationships with their teachers and with their peers. So those are our 4 different attachment styles. This is a question that I always get asked here. So with our ambivalently attached kids who spend a lot of energy on relationships, we really want to start on getting them to focus in on tasks. So giving them little things that really speak to their passion, to their gifts, to their talents, and seeing if we can get them to work for longer and longer periods. With our disorganized kids, we need to find one adult in the school who they connect with. Research is clear. One adult can shift the trajectory of a child's life, and it doesn't have to be the teacher. And then with our avoidant kids, we want to start to give them jobs in the classroom, which pull them out of their shell and have them interact in a very structured way initially with peers and with their teacher. It's also important to note that we're not just one attachment style. All of our experiences give us a beautiful blend, a cocktail of different attachment styles. We do have dominant characteristics, but we now know that it's more of a blend than anything else. So that's secure attachment that we're aiming for. This is a metaphor that we love at the Institute that helps parents to understand what our kids need in order to build that secure attachment. I want you to think about your child as a boat going on their way to a certain destination. That destination is all of the outcomes that we want for our kiddo, our values. So I want them to find their passion. I want them to experience competency. I want them to be kind. I want them to have really solid connections. I want them to know who they are in the world. All of those things that many of us parents wish for our kids. Along the journey, there's going to be days where there's smooth sailing, days where it's a little bit choppy, and then days where it's crazy. Lots of wind, massive waves, and then calm seas again. Our child will get to their destination as long as we know what helps to keep them afloat. Our anchor, super important. Our job as parents is to be the anchor for our child so that when the waters are crazy and choppy, we can keep them afloat. It means that we are a safe harbor for our child. It doesn't mean that the storms won't come, but it means that they do know that they are protected and they have that safety measure. So what do we need in order to be our child's anchor? When our child hits those choppy seas, the last thing they need is an adult who's also yelling and screaming and punishing and shaming. They need to know when I hit my most challenging times, my parent can be my safe place. That they can provide calm even when things are chaotic. That they're not going to leave me alone or send me to my room. That they will stay close by until the waters calm again. That they're not going to add to the craziness of the storm by talking and lecturing, but rather they're going to calm their body, calm their breath, listen deeply, and when appropriate, they're going to tell me that they understand what I'm going through. They're going to name feelings like, oh, you really wanted your brother's toy. That made you so mad. Remember, accepting and validating feelings is not the same thing as saying all behaviors are okay. We want our kids to know all feelings are okay and I can be with you in the storm, but in our house, not all behaviors are okay. And we can talk about what's okay and what's not okay once they're out of the storm. They need to know that we can listen without trying to fix it. So the next time our kids hit those turbulent seas, when they yell, when they scream, when they kick, remind yourself, breathe deeply, be the anchor. If I am their safe person now, when they're 3, then I will continue to be their safe person when they're 13, when they're 20, and as needed as they grow. Okay, so when that storm hits, In the middle of that storm, we don't focus on the destination. So often parents get so caught up in our house, sharing is really important. And yes, it may be, but that's something that we can talk about later. Something that we can come back to in a way that's full of connection, that helps our kids to go, this is what's important in my family. We don't do that during the storm. During the storm, what they need from us is to be steady, predictable, constant. Their safe space, their secure space. The other thing that our child needs in order for them to get to their destination, so we've got the anchor, they need us to be the wind. Our job is to help them to keep sailing forward, to keep them moving and growing. This requires our child to have autonomy. If we hold on too tightly, they will never figure out who they are in this world. And so we take that breath again and we let them go and we help them to develop in terms of competency, in terms of experiencing more and more control in their world, and knowing too that if it gets rough and turbulent again, that we are there for them. If we hold on too tight, they will never learn that they can, that they are capable, that they are competent. As the wind, we want to make lots of space for play. Play is the language of a child. It's how they grow. It's how they learn. It's how they express themselves. We want to work on our own emotional resiliency. We know the research is clear that our child's resiliency tends to mirror our resiliency. So when they can see us letting go, stepping back, they are more likely to trust in themselves. We want to spend lots of time focusing on the energy they put into different tasks, not the end result. Competency is built through process praise, where we go, oh, tell me about your drawing. Oh, tell me about this color over here. I noticed how much effort you put into coloring just those tiny little areas in your drawing. Or you've been spending hours outside hitting that hockey puck. I've been watching. We always focus on the energy, not on the final product. And then we build competency through getting our kids involved at home, letting them cook with us, letting them garden, listening to them about their passions, nurturing and fostering that creativity, by making sure that we don't fill their days with a million different activities and so much structure that they never get to be who they really need to be in the world because it's all been predetermined by us. So as much as possible, we cut back. Remember that less is more. We don't do a checklist of childhood for our child. We give them lots of space to grow, to develop, and to be. So those are some of the hallmarks of helping our children to develop a secure attachment with us. I love this quote. Love is seeing who your child really is and giving them permission to be who they are even more. Thank you so much. We have a wonderful course on fostering resiliency, which puts attachment at the center of everything that we do. I'll link it in the description below.